The flashbacks are over and the training begins in my review of Bleach chapter 538. Yes, the flashbacks are finally over. Ichigo has finally had time to chill out a little bit and come to terms with the fact that his mother is now dead and why she is dead. And it looks like he's going to immediately go back to his training with Oetsu, and that is actually what happens. Oetsu sends out his little messenger girl, and she immediately brings Ichigo back. And that's when Oetsu gives Ichigo the choice of having to choose an Asauchi again. And this almost is done immediately. He chooses this one whom he shakes hands with, and then you can see that it slowly starts to like have pieces of its body like dissolve away, and then you see it actually has this really creepy hollow face. And apparently this is the one that Ichigo was supposed to choose, and Oetsu's like, awesome, this is fantastic. I'm going to be able to forge you a new sword, and I'll make sure and I'll do it personally. So this definitely means that Ichigo's about to get one hell of a power-up again, but still, I can't wait to see what's going to happen. But before you can get too invested in Ichigo's time, we finally go back to Soul Society, and we get to see that a lot of those other captains and even some of the just standard Shinigami aren't just sitting around waiting for the Quincy to attack them. They're training very hard themselves. You get to see that Hitsugaya's squad is kind of, concerned because they think that now that his Bankai is gone, he isn't really going to be of too much help to them. However, Hitsugaya overhears this. He walks in and he decides, guys, I need help with the training. I need to go back to the basics. Since I can't use my Bankai anymore, I'm going to have to become the best swordsman I can possibly be. He has to look forward, and I really like that about his character, the fact that he's never giving up about anything, and it pretty much just proves that he's probably going to learn something that's going to help him a lot in the coming battles. We then go over to Captain Kensei and his subordinate Shuhei, and they're going through some pretty hardcore training. He's even mentioning that he's no slouch like Aizen, and he gets a little help from Mashiro as well, and she uses her Vizard abilities to turn into her weird, freaky hollow form, and then she goes on to attack him to force him to use his Bankai ability, which that'll be really cool to see. But I think the most interesting part of the chapter, and the one that just makes me keep scratching my head for how strange it is probably the very end of the chapter. We get to see that Komamura is training, and Komamura is a very interesting character for the Bleach series, because the minute you look at him, the only thing you're going to ask yourself is, why the fuck is he a giant wolf man or fox or dog or whatever the hell he is? And we may finally be getting some explanation as to why that is, because at the very end of this week's chapter, we get to see that Komamura is hanging out in some mysterious cave with this giant dog-like creature by the name of Ojiji-sama. And I don't know what this thing is. I don't know how important it's supposed to be. But I didn't realize that Soul Society had such creatures within it, and this may be some sort of like connection to why Komamura exists, maybe why he's like some sort of half dog type creature. I'm not really sure. What I can say is that the final panel does look really awesome. This Ojiji-sama creature looks like massive. It kind of reminds me of Falcor from the Never-Ending Story, and I know that's a weird comparison, but it looks like a more badass version, like his ear's been cut off and he has like a giant scar across his face. And he's probably going to be very important, and I can't wait to see what he'll play in this arc. But I can say it's interesting. I've never seen something like that in Bleach. It almost seems like something that belongs in One Piece or maybe even Toriko. But I like it. I like that Kubo is trying different things to spice things up. In this chapter was definitely just another one of those getting you ready to get pumped up again. Now that the flashbacks are over, we're getting ready to get back into this huge war that's going to be taking place between the Shinigami and the Quincy. And I think they're building it up nicely. I'm glad that they're giving a little bit of attention to some of the other characters within Soul Society. Hitsugai has always been one of the most popular Bleach characters. I think Japan knows this, and I think they're really going to utilize him a good amount in this arc. Shuhei, I think that's pretty interesting. He's a character who's been like built up over a very long period of time. He's had a few important fights in the series, but I think maybe they're going to try and push him to new heights within this arc. And of course, Komamura, he stole the show this week, and probably my favorite part was when he got to meet that giant dog at the end. So, if only for all the brand new stuff that we're learning in that crazy final page, which just completely caught me off guard, I'm probably going to give this chapter a 9 out of 10. It wasn't perfect. There are times I wish they would focus on one event at a time instead of just going to a bunch of different ones. But at least all the ones that we saw this week were fairly interesting. And like I said, that final panel is going to make you go, what? What the fuck is that? So, like I said, guys, 9 out of 10. If you guys are following the Bleach manga series, I do recommend that you check this one out, as it's pretty interesting. It moves the story along, and the flashbacks are officially over. So we can look forward to a ton of new developments, a lot of cool training and action. So, how did you guys feel about this week's chapter of Bleach? Did you like seeing that crazy giant dog at the end? You can let me know with your comments below. Remember guys, before you leave, make sure and hit that like button so you can give this video a thumbs up. That concludes this review today. SuperKamiGuru9000, out.